Listo, ya empezó.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our collaborative workshop titled Listening to Learn Pedagogical Guidelines to Promote Assertive Communication in the Teaching and Learning Process of English. We are very happy to have you here and to share this academic space that aims to exchange our communication and teaching skills as future English teachers. Before we start, let me introduce our work team. This workshop has been designed by Janier de Jesus Bañol Largo, Ellen Joansi Fonseca Martinez, Danis Yacid Martinez Córdoba, and myself, Pablo Cedeño Montalvo. Together, we have developed this activity as part of the teacher development course from the bachelor's degree in foreign language with emphasis on English at UNAD. Today, we also have the honor of counting the participation of our guest expert, Camilo Barón Calderón, an advanced student of the same program, who will guide us through reflection and practical strategies to foster assertive communication and active listening in our classroom. We invite everyone to participate actively and share your ideas. Since this space built through collaboration and reflection. Now, to begin, we will carry out a short interactive activity on Padlet to explore that each of us understand by assertive communication. Please join the link, share in the chat, and write your definition or idea. Uh, we'll display our response as the starting point for our discussion. Okay, welcome again and get enjoying this learning experience together. Compañero Janier. Just carry on, compañero Janier.
Okay, I share the link on the chat, so there you can write your point of view about the question. Okay, can we continue?
The teacher, Andres.
Okay.
Tell me, Pablo. Mm, okay. Did everybody participate in the Padlet?
Yes.
Okay. So, Pablo, you said the teacher Andres. What do I have to do? Do I have to read aloud the answers in the Padlet?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me tonight. It's a honor for me to be part of this meeting. Well, for the first part of the activity, I'm going to read aloud some answers that you provided in the Padlet. The first one was Ellen Joanny Fonseca, who said, sometimes we don't know how to communicate effectively with our students, both verbally and non-verbally, and that's why we must look for different methods so that no student is left behind. That's a really good question, since we as a teachers must develop this skill to communicate in an assertive way in order to listen and to speak, and most important, to take into account both insights, the listener one and the speaker one. Thank you so much, Helen. I share also my point of view. So for me, as I told you before, is to consider both insights, well as a speaker and as a listener. The assertive communication is the ability to express one's thoughts, feelings, and needs clearly and respectfully, while also considering others' perspectives. It involves honesty, empathy, and self-confidence, allowing dialogue based on mutual respect rather than aggression or passivity. Wise McPhee told us that assertive communication helps us to communicate more effectively. That's right. And Defiant Salamander told us, for me, it involves defending one's own rights without infringing on the rights of others, maintaining an appropriate tone, choosing respectful words, and demonstrating openness to dialogue. That were such good answers. Um, Thank you for letting me participate into the first step. So for me, we can move on.
Okay, teacher. We want to contextualize you and to the other participants about the problem that we have identified in our pedagogical practice uh, during those sessions at the Urbano Research School of the Pennsylvania Educational Institution. It was identified a recurring problem in the second grade classroom. Students struggle with assertive communication. In several sessions, it has been observed that children often talk over each other and raise their voices, even when the teacher is giving instructions. They rarely take turns when speaking, and sometimes don't listen to the person who is talking. This lack of assertive listening creates a noisy environment that makes it difficult for them to concentrate and develop um, their communicative skills. The issue isn't limited to English lessons uh, because it appears in other subjects and daily interactions as well. As a result, there are frequent arguments, misunderstanding, and frustration among the students. And these behaviors have affected classroom coexistence, collaboration, and trust. In lack, the school's psychologist and the coexistence coordinator have had to intervene to support the group and help restore a respectful learning atmosphere in that place. So that's the problem uh, we have used to organize this workshop, and we want that you give advices or suggestions about how can we as a teacher trainee or trainee teachers handle these situations in the classroom.
Okay, so well, that's a really good issue that you have identified because it is normal or it is typically or it's happens often that you think that the students may raise their voices and do not listen or do not listen each others or as well as the teacher. Um, this is a cause of misunderstanding, as you said, but well, I am going to give you some keys, yes, of how can you manage these kind of behaviors. Give me a second, please. Well, the first aspect that I want to show you as an advice is something that I learned from a teacher in the UNED. She told me that the most important item that you can use is the verbal communication, but as an attractor. For example, imagine the students are talking, are shouting, and you can't speak to them. The first thing that I will do is to try to catch them attention using a clap, an applause, or something like that. And when you have their attention, you can speak. Later, you may try to do a discussion, but a politely discussion in order to listen and to give the opportunity to all of them to speak. As you may know, every kid and every young is a different world inside their heads. So it is important to consider every insight as the first principle of the assertive communication that we talk about just a minute. Um, I saw that there is a question in the chat. So do I have to answer it in this moment? Do I have to answer the question in this moment? The question that is in the chat?
Teacher, later of this part, our mates will make the questions.
Oh, okay. Okay, okay. So that's the first key that I will use to try to catch them attention and later try to do a discussion in order to they to listen themselves and you to listen them too and try to fix the issue without misunderstandings. Mm, what else did I try to do? Uh, Personally, my nonverbal communication is in process to develop too, because as Mr. Pablo told you, I am also a pre-service teacher. I am in process of getting out of the program, but I am in process of learning in some experiences too. And I think that I have tried these things. In the moment, I don't remember anything else, but later in the session, maybe I am trying to remember what other strategies did I implemented in the practice scenario. So I don't know if you have any other question in this moment.
So in this space, our mates Helen and Danis uh, will ask to you some questions about this topic to generate a reflective moment.
Okay, teacher.
Okay.
Hello. My
Hello,
question,
Dennis.
my question is, how does nonverbal communication influence the creation of a safe environment for speaking another language?
Okay, that's a good question. And well, I haven't asked that question before to me, but I think that, well, I will talk to you as a preservist teacher too. So I think that we can develop our own assertiveness through a process of self-reflection and collectively building an interaction norms. It is essential for creating a communicate environment based on respect, empathy, and collaboration. I don't know if you know that Vygotsky in the 1978 proposed a social cultural theory that said that communication and learning are social processes constructed through dialogue, and therefore this means that establishing shared rules allows students to internalize respectful and purposeful interaction patterns. We as teachers may guide this process by engaging students in the co-construction of classroom agreements. For example, the principle of listening actively, waiting for turns to speak, and using polite language to express disagreement or in against agreement, for example. Uh, these kind of agreements foster rational democratic dialogue where understanding, not dominance, becomes the goal. So if the student knows that he isn't there to be dominant, he must understand he is there to understand and to be understood. Um, Additionally, another cooperative learning principle highlight that positive interdependence and individual accountability enhance communication quality. Just we have to set collective norms like encouraging paired feedback, rotating speaking roles, or celebrating constructive participations. This may help to develop a culture of trust and shared responsibility. And just to close the question, this defined interaction strategies transforms the classroom into a safe communication space where every participant feels valued and confident to express their ideas openly and respectfully.
Okay. Um, what strategies of the rule interaction could the environments collective to improve the communication environments?
Okay, so as I told you before, the first collective interaction building norms, it is from the social cultural theory from Vygotsky, but I also will tell you that we must develop our own assertiveness through a process of self-reflection and emotional regulation and guided practice. This later enables us to teach this skill effectively. Remember that we are a mirror in the classroom, so we reflect ourselves into our students. The students learn behaviors by observing us and modeling the actions of others, in this case, us or the partners. Then this leads to a consequence. If we practice consciously the assertive communication in our everyday, when we are trying to express our opinions clearly and respectfully, the students will not only extend their interpersonal confidence, but also improve their behavior because we are trying to emulate their model to be. Another strategy or rule to interaction is to emphasize in the emotional intelligence. This is key for assertiveness because it involves self-awareness, self-regulation and empathy. Because this engage in reflective activities, um, you could try to do journaling, feedback sessions, or role playing, and by this way, we as pre-service teacher can identify patterns or models of passive or aggressive communications and replace these patterns or behaviors with assertive responses that balance respect and fairness. Uh, Not only from these strategies, but also by Vygotsky, as I told you before, in the social cultural perspective and theory, said that assertiveness can be seen as a skill developed within the zone of proximal development. I don't know if you have heard about the zone of proximal development. In Spanish is la zona de desarrollo próximo. And this gets through interaction and social mediation and collaboration with peers and mentors, participation in discussion and practicing conflict resolution in supportive context help internalize assertive communication before applying it independently in the classroom. By last, we have to intentionally cultivate our own assertiveness, and this may enhance our classroom management by promoting respectful dialogue and model the kind of confident yet empathetic communication so we can expect from our students to foster both academic and social emotional growth. And that's the answer to the second question.
Okay, teacher, thank you. We have another activity. This short activity on the chat. I shared a link to a quiz in Kahoot. There, there will have 3 questions, 3 situations. So the participants will choose the best option according to what they know, to what they have experienced. And the idea is that you uh, give us feedback about the correct question. Okay.
Okay,
You can uh, you can join to the activity in Kahoot. The link is on the chat. So I'm going to start.
Partner Janet, I have a question. So do I have to do the feedback right now or when we finish the activity?
Teacher, I guess can to be right now.
Okay, Mr. Pablo, no problem. So the question was, students were shouting to each other. So what do you have to do or what should you do? One answer was to shout them to stop. And the other answer that I remember is to please calm them down and ask them to take turns and respect the word so they can speak. This is the correct answer because, as I told you before, we are a mirror to our students. So if we shout them to stop, they will shout even louder because you got out of control and they will be overwhelmed by your shouts too. So the better option and the assertive one is to ask them gently to calm down and to speak by turns. This is the correct answer for the first question. Okay, so the second question was, a children is interrupting another one. What should we do? The correct answer is to use a stick to guide the conversation by turns because if you interrupt the conversation, you will be doing wrong because this is a sign and behavior of aggressive communication, and this is bad. If you ignore this behavior, this is even worse because you as teacher, you are the main lead in the classroom and you should manage not only the classroom routine by the subject of the matter, but also the behaviors and emotions. Ignoring this behavior is just fostering the aggression in the communication. So you have to mediate between both students and guide the conversation if they cannot understand each other. The correct answer is to use a stick and guide the conversation. Okay, the next question was to a kid isn't listening to each other or something like that. I didn't read the whole sentence, excuse me, but the correct answer was to establish a clear listen to each other rule. As I told you before, this is the main principle of the assertive communication because you have to be in the middle of both insights, you as a speaker and you as a listener. Remember, there's no communication if you don't listen to the other one. And, and it is not just listen because to listen, but try to understand the other person, in this case, the other child. So establish a always listen rule. It is important to foster assertive communication because if you don't respect your partner and the word of your partner, you may fall into the partner to disrespect yourself too. This is the correct answer.
Teacher,
Me.
teacher, uh,
Yes.
what you're saying is from the final reflections?
Oh, do you want me to give you the final reflection for the workshop?
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to give a part of the final reflection, but if you are able to, I want to hear your own perspectives and your own thoughts because it is important to create a collaborative reflection if you are right. Did you get me well? Did you understand me?
Yes, yes, teacher.
Okay, so here I go. Um, as a final reflection, I may tell you that the assertive communication is everything in the classroom, not only because it helps us to communicate better, but to understand better ourselves and the other one. It is important to develop this skill as soon as possible because it is like our work tool, for example. This is going to make our class easier because we are trying to do our best in the classroom. The students will notice that we are able or willing to listen and to speak. And they will feel confident because when they notice that you are willing to speak and to listen, they will be like an open book to you and to their partners. It is important to apply the social theories of Vygotsky. Do not fall in the noises, in the shouts, in the scream, because this is not going to lead you to anywhere. And the road that leads to nowhere is long, as the quote said. Um, I think I have nothing else to communicate to you, so I want to listen to you, to Janier, to Pablo, to Helen, to Danis, to anyone that may want to talk.
Okay, teacher. In my case, uh, I think teaching assertive communication is teaching how to live together and learn better. We appreciate everyone's participation and encourage you to continue putting what you learned today into the practice. Uh, so thank you to each of my classmates and to you, thank you so much.
Thanks to you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Daniel.
Okay. No, thank you, teacher, for your suggestions, for your um theoretical and practice um knowledge. I think that it's an important topic in the daily pedagogical practice because if we can have a nice or a good communication channels with students, it's difficult in the teaching learning process. So thank you very much to the participants, to you again. And I think that it's all in this workshop.